Welcome back to our channel. Chuck Norris is a name that makes people all over the world think of a bold guy, martial artist, and action hero who, simply by being mentioned, evokes strength and tenacity. He represents invincibility on TV, the hero who consistently overcomes hardship. But beneath all the glitz and glamour is the tale of a man who has suffered terrible losses and overcome apparently impossible obstacles. Growing up with an alcoholic father's yelling and losing his younger brother in battle, Chuck Norris has faced silent challenges in his own life in addition to foes on screen. He has an unbreakable spirit in addition to a powerful physique, making him a true warrior. Powerful strikes have been delivered throughout Chuck Norris' life, not just against fictional foes but also against life's most difficult obstacles. But why was he considered a legend? Let us delve further into this man's story. A real hero in real life as well as on TV. Early years. On March 10, 1940, in Ryan, Oklahoma, Chuck Norris was born into a household that was neither prosperous nor tranquil. Chuck Norris, the eldest son of Ray and Wilma Scarberry Norris, was raised in a difficult and insecure atmosphere. In addition to having a negative impact on his physical health, World War II also robbed his father, Ray, of his mental stability. Ray lost himself and distanced himself from his family as a result of his alcoholism. He held a variety of professions, including bus driver and mechanic, but he was never able to stay employed long enough to provide for his family. Chuck didn't have a quiet childhood. He grew up seeing his father spiral into drunkenness and uncontrollable outbursts of wrath. Chuck's mother, Wilma, was a strong but severely scarred woman, and occasionally Ray Norris would rage and abuse her while intoxicated and uncontrollable. In an effort to protect her kids from the mayhem their father caused, Wilma had to bear the family's burden of poverty. Chuck's memories of having to hide in the house with his younger brother whenever their father lost his temper became ingrained in his memory and became an indelible part of his life. An incident that took place when Chuck was 16 years old permanently altered the course of the Norris family's existence. After his parents' divorce, Chuck moved to Torrance, California, with his mother and siblings. Life was still difficult here. Chuck was a timid, frail youngster who frequently felt embarrassed by his family's situation, and the family continued to live in poverty. He didn't have any special appeal, wasn't a great athlete, and wasn't a stellar student. Due to these conditions, Chuck felt isolated among his peers and like an outsider. However, Chuck Norris experienced a pivotal moment in Torrance. He started learning martial arts as he looked for self-worth and confidence. He found his sense of worth in martial arts, in addition to the physical benefits. Chuck started his adventure in Tang Soo Do taught by Korean martial arts instructor Kim Soo. The shy, insecure youngster of the past started to change completely at this point. He became stronger, more resilient, and more determined. The military, not martial arts, however, marked the most significant turning point in Chuck Norris' life. At the age of 18, Chuck made the decision to enlist in the U.S. Air Force in 1958. He wasn't merely looking for steadiness in his life, but it also gave him a chance to get away from the difficult past of his family. In a nation known for its martial arts tradition, Chuck first really investigated martial arts when stationed in Osan, South Korea. Chuck developed a fascination for martial arts here after starting to practice Tang Soo Do, a traditional Korean martial art. Chuck Norris was transformed by the fusion of martial arts and military discipline. He developed discipline, patience, and a never-give-up attitude during his time in the military, traits that he carried with him throughout his life. After serving in the military, Chuck brought back to the United States not only his extraordinary martial arts abilities but also the maturity of a man prepared to take on whatever task life threw at him. Not only did the military assist Chuck in escaping his troubled past, but it also gave him the skills he needed to succeed in the future. Chuck Norris changed from a shy, insecure youngster to a guy who was resolved to never give in to challenges. Professional life. Following his discharge from the U.S. After serving in the Air Force and being stationed in Korea, where he first learned about martial arts, Chuck Norris returned to the United States with a renewed enthusiasm but a difficult path ahead. Despite popular belief, his career did not begin amid the glamour of high-profile bouts or the spotlight of celebrity. He started from the beginning, and a string of consecutive losses characterized his early martial arts tournament career. He was defeated by well-known figures in the martial arts field, including Tony Tolliners, Alan Steen, and Joe Louis. Norris did not consider these to be failures, however. Instead, they inspired him to get up. Chuck Norris trained diligently and resolutely, getting back up after each setback. By 1967, his efforts were starting to pay off. He became the professional middleweight karate champion in 1968 after winning important competitions, and he maintained the title for 6 years in a row. Prominent honors like the Fighter of the Year title from Black Belt magazine and the Karate Triple Crown in 1969 confirmed Chuck Norris' status as not just a superb martial artist but also one of the biggest names in martial arts at the time. In addition to being the fruits of his labors, these were evidence of Norris's tenacity in following his passion. Norris' career, however, extended beyond martial arts. He gained strength from the ring, but Chuck Norris really rose to fame on the big screen. Alongside martial arts icon Bruce Lee, Chuck had his big break in the 1972 movie Way of the Dragon. In the movie, Chuck played Bruce Lee's opponent in one of the most famous fight scenes in action movies, a spectacular confrontation in the Coliseum. Chuck's portrayal of the antagonist not only made an impression on viewers around the world, but it also gave him access to Hollywood, where martial arts and filmmaking merged to become the newest fad. Chuck Norris rose to prominence in the action movie genre after Way of the Dragon. But there weren't always roses on the path. To demonstrate that he was not only a skilled martial artist but also a competent actor, Chuck had to put in a lot of effort. He starred in the 1977 action movie Breaker, which had a modest budget but ended up making 10 times its production value. With movies like A Force of One and Good Guys Wear Black, 1978, this opened the door for Chuck Norris to have more success. In 1979, these movies not only helped him earn a lot of money at the box office, but they also proved that Norris was more than simply a skilled fighter and could pick projects that worked for him. The action star Chuck Norris' career peaked in the 1980s. With its ninja and terrorist theme, The Octagon, 1980, made a big impression and sent Chuck to The Lone Wolf McQuade, 1983, one of his best-selling movies, where he played a tough and courageous Western police officer. Acting in a way that blended martial arts with an unbreakable spirit allowed Chuck Norris to build a distinctive personal brand. With the television show Walker, Texas Ranger, Chuck Norris achieved his biggest success on the small screen rather than the large screen. Chuck portrayed Cordell Walker, a rugged, morally upright Western police officer who was always fighting for justice. During its 8 seasons, the show was not only a financial success but also came to represent the 1990s. Walker transformed Texas Ranger Chuck Norris from an action hero into a morality and justice icon who connected with viewers of all backgrounds. Chuck Norris kept up his involvement in a variety of endeavors, including movies, commercials, and charitable endeavors. Movies like Firewalker, Code of Silence, and The Delta Force kept enhancing his reputation. But more than his action roles, Chuck Norris's use of his notoriety to aid others is what really cemented his status as a legend. Disasters. Over his life, Chuck Norris has experienced tragedies and irreplaceable losses that have tried his resolve time and again. Every tragedy had a profound impact on Chuck's character and thoughts, which helped to shape his unwavering will in public. When Chuck had to deal with the divisions in his family as a child, it was one of the first significant tragedies. He became an alcoholic after his father, World War II veteran Ray Norris, returned home with serious psychological wounds. Ray became the family's biggest source of unending pain in addition to being a burden. In one instance, Ray was driving under the influence when he caused a terrible collision that killed an innocent woman. Ray was found guilty and sent to a work camp as a result of this incident. Not only was the Norris family shocked, but Chuck also suffered an irreversible heartache. He had to see his father fail, and the accident left the family in ruins. Chuck had always loved his father, but he was never able to forgive the things that had hurt his family so deeply. Chuck lost his adored younger brother, Wyland Norris, in the Vietnam War, which was the second tragedy in his life. Chuck had a deep affection and bond with Wyland. Chuck never thought that his brother would be leaving him when Wyland volunteered to fight in Vietnam. Wyland valiantly alerted his fellow soldiers to the impending danger during a perilous ambush, but he soon gave his life in an attempt to save others. To make matters worse, Wyland passed away only a few months after Chuck started working as a filmmaker. Chuck was devastated emotionally by the loss of his brother, but he also felt compelled to defend his loved one. Chuck's soul was rocked by this tragedy, which caused him to experience intense, private grief. But rather than giving up, Chuck made the decision to keep going. His career was largely devoted to paying tribute to his brother, particularly in movies like Missing in Action, a television series in which he played a soldier engaged in combat in Vietnam with tales of heartbreaking rescue operations. These weren't just action movies, they were also Chuck's way of honoring Wyland by using his own suffering as a source of strength. Private life. Chuck Norris married Diane Holisek for the first time in 1958 when he was just 18 and she was 17. They were high school students in Torrance, California, and after only 2 years of dating, they made the decision to get married. Chuck had 2 sons from this marriage, Mike and Eric. When Chuck's profession was still in its infancy and hadn't taken off, Diane was his biggest support system and was always by his side. Like many marriages in the entertainment business, their relationship grew weaker over time due to the demands of their jobs and their increasing distance from one another. Chuck and Diane separated from one another in 1989 after more than 30 years of marriage. Not only was Chuck shocked by this breakup, but he also suffered severe emotional wounds. Because Diane had supported him during his difficult early years, Chuck felt quite alone and bereft once their marriage ended. It was yet another startling discovery for Chuck Norris. His daughter was born out of wedlock, although he was unaware of her existence. In 1990, following the dissolution of his marriage to Diane, Chuck was contacted by Deanna, his daughter, from a brief affair during his youth as a soldier. At age 26, Chuck experienced both happiness and remorse when he first met his daughter. The fact that he had been unaware of her existence for so long made him feel bad. And his ideas on family responsibilities were significantly impacted by this. Chuck remarried Gina O'Kelly in 1998, a former model who was 23 years his junior. After years of strife, Chuck found peace and security in this marriage. In 2001, Chuck and Gina welcomed twins, Dakota Allen and Dana Lee Kelly. Chuck has always shown his kids that he loves and cares for them. And he is proud to have watched them grow up in a setting under his control as opposed to the unpredictability he experienced as a child. Family life, meanwhile, hasn't always been easy. When Gina started exhibiting odd symptoms including tremors and speech loss following an MRI in 2013, she developed severe health problems. Throughout his wife's protracted recuperation, Chuck was there for her at every turn. Chuck's decision to temporarily halt his profession in order to care for Gina during this trying time further deepened their relationship. Family has always come first for Chuck Norris, even with his hectic and prosperous job. His family is the biggest source of inspiration and motivation for him. He frequently talks about Wilma, his mother, who he believes is the perfect example of sacrifice and tenacity. Chuck was raised by his mother, who supported him through his childhood struggles and taught him that no obstacle is insurmountable. With his children and grandchildren, Chuck has also remained close, particularly in his later retirement years. Even though he is now over 80, Chuck Norris still prioritizes his family and never fails to find time for his wife, kids, and grandkids. He no longer plays many movie parts. However, his devotion to humanitarian activities and love for his family have not diminished. Chuck's life is proof that, despite many tragedies, he has remained true to his family values and constantly tries to provide the best for his loved ones. Culture. Chuck Norris is more than simply a famous martial artist and movie action hero. Few people can claim to be a pop culture icon like him. Chuck Norris' reach extends well beyond action movies and martial arts, as evidenced by his profound influence on online forums and daily life. The idea of an on-screen hero was reinvented by Chuck Norris during the 1980s and 1990s. Through Walker, Texas Ranger, Chuck was able to depict himself as a powerful, morally upright defender of justice who never compromises on his morals. The show produced a character that had a lasting impact in addition to being a huge commercial success. In a culture where people are constantly looking for heroes, Chuck Norris came to represent tenacity and morality. Not only did Cordell Walker's martial arts action scenes captivate viewers, but his profound teachings of compassion, friendship, and devotion also did. Further solidifying Chuck's place in the action movie genre, where he frequently played valiant warriors, military heroes on rescue missions, and guardians of the weak, were movies like Missing in Action, The Delta Force, and Code of Silence. In addition to providing amusement, these characters conveyed subliminal lessons of sacrifice, cooperation, and patriotism. He became more firmly established as a cultural representation of true heroism as a result. The Chuck Norris facts phenomena, however, is one of Chuck Norris' most enduring cultural influences. Beginning in 2005, the Chuck Norris facts craze became viral online, causing an unanticipated upsurge that nobody could have predicted. The power, invincibility, and superhuman qualities of Chuck Norris are frequently humorously exaggerated in these facts. Chuck Norris, for example, waits instead of sleeping. Or, twice, Chuck Norris is able to count infinity. These amusing tales gained widespread attention and became an international craze on the internet. At first, Chuck Norris was just another pop culture icon that online communities made fun of. But when the phenomena spread, it made him a special person. Chuck Norris was not against it. However, they even welcomed the humor with a playful abandon. He once admitted that he picked a handful of the Chuck Norris facts as his favorites because he thought they were really funny. This made him even more popular since it showed that Chuck could still joke at his sudden celebrity status even though he was a martial arts legend. The popularity of Chuck Norris facts extended beyond the internet and into various spheres of popular culture, including TV series, literature, video games, and casual discussions. The Truth About Chuck Norris, 400 Facts About The World's Greatest Human, which was published in 2007, actually compiled hundreds of these amusing Chuck Norris facts. Even though Chuck first sued the publisher for using his name without his consent, he ultimately decided not to pursue the case, which allowed the phenomena to flourish. The dissemination of Chuck Norris information transformed him into a complex figure. He provided everyone with amusement and laughter in addition to being an action hero. This phenomena kept Chuck Norris' image alive and well long after his career peaked, contributing to his increased influence in contemporary mainstream culture. Social activities. Chuck Norris has demonstrated compassion and a sense of societal duty through his philanthropic contributions in social activities, which go beyond his own personal endeavors. Chuck, despite his international fame as an action star, has never forgotten his modest beginnings or the morals his mother taught him at a young age. His philanthropic endeavors are motivated by these ideals, especially his support of underprivileged children and veterans, whom he holds in the highest regard. One of Chuck Norris' greatest charitable accomplishments was the establishment of Kickstart Kids, a non-profit organization in 1990 that teaches martial arts to teenagers, particularly those from underprivileged homes. In addition to helping young people grow physically, Chuck saw that martial arts taught them self-control, discipline, tenacity, respect, and self-worth. In numerous schools throughout Texas and beyond, Kickstart Kids has grown to be a significant educational initiative that assists thousands of teenagers in avoiding harmful social pressures, concentrating on their own growth, and creating a better future. Chuck sees Kickstart Kids as a means of teaching important life lessons in addition to martial arts. Not only was he the organization's founder, but he has also been actively involved in all aspects of its operations, from training to inspiring and motivating the students. With significant backing from governmental and social institutions, Kickstart Kids has grown to become one of the top martial arts education programs in the United States as a result of Chuck's commitment. Helping kids wasn't the only thing Chuck Norris did. A large portion of his work have also been devoted to helping the military and veterans. As a veteran of the United States Air Force, Chuck has always considered it his responsibility to assist soldiers. He has made major contributions to numerous organizations, including the Veterans Administration, where he has been a spokesperson and taken part in campaigns to increase awareness of veterans' health and welfare issues. He also frequently engages in charity activities for veterans. Chuck has dedicated decades of his life to enhancing the quality of life for those who served the nation by visiting veterans' hospitals, attending fundraising events, and working diligently. In acknowledgement of his unwavering efforts to assist and support veterans, Chuck Norris received the American Veteran Award's Veteran of the Year award in 2001. In addition to offering financial support, he has dedicated his time to taking part in initiatives that try to better the lives of veterans who have endured psychological and physical hardships following combat. Chuck Norris has actively supported a number of other philanthropic projects. He has worked with groups like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, where he has approved many children's desires who have life-threatening conditions. Additionally, he consistently contributes to United Way, National Salute to Hospitalized Veterans, and other organizations that work to enhance the lives of people in need. One of Chuck's noteworthy endeavors is his backing of the Vijay Amritraj Foundation in India, which assists those in need, ranging from youngsters with HIV/AIDS to those dealing with mental health concerns. Chuck's generosity is not limited to the United States. He has made major contributions to global initiatives that aid the underprivileged. In 2007, Chuck received the title of Honorary Marine from the Marine Corps Commandant in a formal ceremony in Washington, D.C., which acknowledged his military service and confirmed the U.S. military's admiration for his unwavering support of servicemen and veterans. In addition to being a martial arts and movie star, Chuck Norris is a community-focused role model who exemplifies compassion. From aiding underprivileged kids to assisting veterans and participating in global charitable endeavors, Chuck has devoted his life to making a positive impact on people. He has changed the lives of people in need in addition to using his notoriety and power to shine on film. A path full of suffering and sorrow, Chuck Norris' life is not only a tale of achievement, characterized by victorious triumphs in the ring and on screen. The disintegration of his family during his early years, the loss of his cherished brother during the Vietnam War, and the challenges he faced while dealing with his wife's illness have all left profound marks on this resilient man's spirit. Despite his constant public persona of stability, Chuck Norris has endured a number of terrible tragedies, and it is these that have molded him into the man he is today. Tenacious, brave, and resistant to defeat. A living example of how perseverance and patience can overcome hardship is Chuck Norris' life. He has inspired millions of people not only with his valiant on-screen personas but also with his ability to overcome obstacles in real life. What are your thoughts on Chuck Norris's accomplishments and tragedies? Leave a comment below with your opinions. We are eager to hear your thoughts. Thank you for viewing. Please remember to click the like button. Don't miss out on more exciting material by sharing the video and subscribing to the channel. Post a comment and tell us what you think. Please let us know what struck a chord with you the most. Until the next video, see you. Goodbye.